Imagine the Milan of today, a pulsating fashion capital of over 2 million, where the Gothic spires of the Duomo pierce the sky amid gleaming skyscrapers, luxury boutiques line Via Monte Napoleone, and the Navigli canals reflect vibrant nightlife. Commuters rush through metro stations, and the city thrives as Italy's economic powerhouse. Now, erase that vitality. Step back to the year 700 AD. That same Duomo site hosts the ancient basilica of Sant'Ambrogio, a humble stone church amid a shrunken settlement of reused Roman ruins, timber houses, and muddy paths. Milan, once Rome's northern capital, now a Lombard duchy of perhaps 20,000 to 30,000 inhabitants, lingers in the shadow of Pavia, the kingdom's seat. Scattered farms dot the landscape. Lombard nobles rule from fortified compounds, and the populace blends Roman survivors with Germanic conquerors, all under the reign of King Cunipert until his death that year. How did this imperial city devolve into a provincial outpost? What sustained its people through cultural fusion and external threats? Join me as we reconstruct this post-Roman Milan, section by section, visualizing its faded glory against the vibrant metropolis it became. Urban layout and city planning. As the visuals dissolve modern Milan's radial avenues and high rises into a sparse medieval plan, note how the expansive urban grid retracts into a compact core shaped by survival. In 700 AD, Milan's urban layout reflected the contraction following the Western Roman Empire's fall in 476 AD, centered on the historic Roman nucleus but diminished in scale. The city, known as Mediolanum under Rome, spanned about 200 hectares at its imperial peak, but by the Lombard era, archaeological evidence from sites like the Piazza del Duomo excavations indicates a reduced inhabited area of roughly 50–70 hectares. Focused on the elevated plateau where the Roman Forum once stood, this layout inherited Roman infrastructure but adapted to Lombard needs. The main axes followed the ancient Cardo north-south and Decumanus east-west streets, now narrowed to 3–5 meters wide and unpaved, often clogged with debris from collapsed buildings. The Roman walls, originally built in the 3rd century AD under Emperor Maximian and enclosing 4.5 kilometers, remain partially intact, though breached and repaired sporadically, as noted in chronicles like Paul the Deacon's Historia Langobardorum in circa 787–796. These walls defined the city's perimeter, with gates like Porta Romana and Porta Ticinese serving as entry points for trade routes from the south. Beyond the walls, the landscape was semi-rural. Vineyards, orchards, and fields extended to the Olona and Lambro rivers, providing natural boundaries and resources. The Lombard dukes encouraged settlement clustering around key churches and administrative sites, such as the episcopal complex near Sant'Ambrogio, founded in 379 AD, and serving as a focal point. No formal planning akin to Roman urbanism existed. Growth was organic, driven by the Lombard monarchy's decentralized structure, where dukes like those of Milan held semi-autonomous power under kings based in Pavia, suburbs, or borghi, emerged outside the walls for artisans and farmers, as inferred from burial sites like those at San Calimero, dated to the 7th century via radiocarbon analysis. The Po Valley's hydrology influenced placement. Canals and marshes offered defense but posed flood risks, documented in later Carolingian records echoing Lombard-era conditions. Unlike today's engineered canals and metro-linked districts, this layout emphasized accessibility for trade along the Via Mediolanum Papia to Pavia while relying on Roman remnants for structure. Archaeological reports from the University of Milan confirm this hybrid. Roman aqueducts, like the one from the Seveso River, were partially functional, supplying fountains in the central zone. This adaptive planning not only preserved Roman echoes but shaped the buildings that rose or endured within it. Architecture and building materials transitioned visuals from sleek glass facades to weathered stone and timber, churches repurposed from Roman basilicas, noble halls amid ruins. In 700 AD, Milan's architecture embodied continuity amid decline, dominated by Spolia reused Roman materials and early Christian forms under Lombard patronage. Primary sources like the Liber Pontificalis Ecclesiae Mediolanicis, a 9th century compilation drawing on earlier records, describe structures blending Roman legacy with Germanic practicality. Key buildings included the Basilica of Sant'Ambrogio, originally built in 379–386 AD by Bishop Ambrose as a martyrium and modified by Lombards. By 700, it featured a rectangular plan with apses, stone walls of local Seppo conglomerate, and columns salvaged from Roman edifices, as excavations by the Catholic University of the Sacred Heart reveal. The atrium, added in the 8th century but reflective of 7th century trends, used brick arches, a Roman technique persisted in Lombard works. Another landmark was the Basilica of San Nazaro in Brolo, dating to 382 AD, with its cruciform layout and brick construction, repaired after Gothic sacks in 539 AD. Per Procopius' History of the Wars, Lombard residences varied. Ducal palaces, like the presumed one near the Forum, now Piazza San Sepolcro, were fortified compounds of stone and timber, reusing Roman foundations. Common homes were single-story, wattle-and-daub huts with thatched roofs, measuring 5–8 meters, built on gravel bases to combat dampness, as found in digs at Via Torino. Materials emphasized locality: bricks fired from Po Valley clay, tufa stone from quarries, and timber from alpine forests. Imported marble was rare, reserved for churches. Instead, Roman marble was stripped and reused, a practice noted in Paul the Deacon's accounts of Lombard building. Sanitation relied on Roman sewers like the Vetra Canal, but clogged and ineffective, leading to waste pits uncovered in archaeological strata. No grand aqueducts functioned fully. Wells and rivers supplied water. This architecture differed from modern Milan's marble-clad Duomo. It symbolized resilience, with over 20 churches by 700, per episcopal lists, fostering community amid decay. These structures not only sheltered inhabitants but stratified them, as evident in the population dynamics. Population size and social classes populate the scenes with modest crowds, far fewer than today's commuters. Around 700 AD, Milan's population is estimated at 20,000 to 30,000, a sharp decline from the Roman peak of 100,000 to 100,000, based on settlement contraction and comparative data from historians like Chris Wickham in Framing the Early Middle Ages 2005. This figure derives from archaeological density models and chronicles indicating post-539 sacked population, with recovery under Lombards. Social classes fused Roman and Germanic elements under Lombard law codes, like the Edictum Rothari 643 AD. At the apex were Lombard nobility, dukes like Ratges documented in 7th century charters, and warrior elites Aramani, holding estates and serving the king in Pavia. They comprised 5–10 of the population, living in stone halls with retainers. The clergy, led by archbishops like Mansuetus died 680 and Benedict died 725, wielded influence, owning lands per donation records in the Codex Diplomaticus Langobardorum. Bishops bridged cultures, advocating Catholicism after the Lombards' Arian phase ended around 670 under King Perctorit. Roman-descended civilians Romani, perhaps 60–70, included landowners, artisans, and serfs, subject to Lombard tribute per Rothari's laws distinguishing ethnic groups. Germanic Lombards, initially Arian, integrated, with intermarriage common by 700. At the base were unfree laborers and slaves, tied to estates, as skeletal studies from Lombard necropolises like those at Trezzo Salata show malnutrition and labor stress. Women held property rights under Lombard law, but were subordinate. Children inherited ethnically mixed customs. Unlike modern Milan's cosmopolitan bourgeoisie, class was ethnic legal, with Wergold values and Rothari's edict valuing Lombards higher. This structure shaped occupations and routines. Daily life and occupations, envision routines. Farmers tilling fields, artisans in workshops, Daily life in 700 AD blended subsistence and craft, per descriptions in Paul the Deacon's history. Dawn brought labor, peasants cultivated wheat, vines, and olives on ducal lands, using Roman tools like iron plows found in hordes. Diets included porridge, bread, cheese, and pork, per faunal remains from excavations. Occupations centered on agriculture and trade. Smiths forged tools and forges. Weavers produced cloth in homes. Women spun wool, baked. Men hunted or fished in rivers. Elite pursued warfare training. Meals, simple, communal, with ale or wine. Homes featured hearths for cooking. Evenings involved storytelling or prayers. Hazards, plagues, floods. Bones show average lifespan 35 to 45 years. Community, churches hosted gatherings. This contrasted modern lifestyles. Then life was agrarian, tied to seasons, trade and economic activity. Markets stir, goods exchanged along paths. Trade was modest, focused on local and alpine routes, per imported pottery finds. Economy, agrarian, with tribute to Pavia. Coins, Lombard tremises circulated. Shifts, stability under Cunipert boosted exchanges. Unlike Milan's finance, economy was subsistence. Political control and power structures. Ducal courts convene. Oaths sworn. Politics under King Cunipert 688700. Then Aripert II, per Historia Langobardorum. Structure, duchy within kingdom. Duke loyal to Pavia. Consequences, internal peace. But Byzantine threats, interlinked with religion. Religious influence. Churches fill, masses held. Catholicism dominated post-670 conversion. Archbishops like Damian died 710 led. Influence, unified society. Cultural norms. Families gather. Germanic Roman fusion. Norms, honor, kinship per Rothari. Methods of defense or warfare. Walls manned, militias ready. Defense, Roman walls. Dukes warriors. Warfare, against Byzantines. Transformation and lessons. Visuals blend to present. Milan revived under Carolingians, becoming commune. Developments, Etonian Renaissance. Perspective or resilience from ruins.